Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater, and this is a video I have been dying to make all week. And when I learned that episode 9's trailer was going to be dropping Friday morning, I made sure I was going to be absorbing every little bit of it that I could and really just excited to dive into whatever we were going to be seeing, whatever we were going to be shown. And I'm not going to lie, guys, I wasn't disappointed. I really was not disappointed, and I'm very much looking forward to this. The title of the film says a lot to me, and I'm going to talk about that as we go through it. But this is my breakdown of the trailer. Again, these are just theories and speculations about what could possibly be. I don't know, but I like you, am very curious to find out come December 20th. And again, just with the title itself, The Rise of Skywalker was not what people were anticipating. People were anticipating it to be the Will of the Force, which was one of the titles that was being floated around as a rumor that a lot of people, even people I know who work in the movie blogging industry, were just like thinking that it was legit. So I think it was a good fake out ultimately. But the Rise of Skywalker is interesting because of one slide as we get into it. I'll talk about this here, but first let's take a look here at the first slide, and this is Rey on what I can only assume is Tatooine. I don't believe this is Jakku. I don't believe this is Jakku. I think she's on Tatooine. I think this is going to tie into the original trilogy. I think that J.J. Abrams is going to want to take us back to where it all began. He did talk a lot this morning at the panel about shooting in Tunisia, but then again, they shot in Tunisia for The Force Awakens, so I don't quite know specifically how it's all going to work out. I don't know if this is it, but the rocky terrain tells me it looks more like when we first went to Tatooine in the, in A New Hope, when R2-D2 and C-3PO were very much on their own out there trying to find their way to Mos Eisley, or really anywhere. I love this wide shot here. Great wide shot. Really gives you, it's what they call a barn shot. You can see the curvature of the earth, so to speak. Just Rey alone by herself in the desert, alone. What looks like a TIE striker is coming her way, but it might not be. And it's her facing this down. Is it Kylo Ren? Is it Hux? Is it someone else? We have no idea, but just the establishing shot of this is absolutely amazing to me. It's breathtaking. The cinematography in this is going to be really good, I think. Then we have the shot here, which she pulls out Luke's old saber, which has at this point been repaired, but there's no real repair marks on it, which I found to be unfortunate. It looks like a brand new thing, so it could have just been fixed up. Most likely Maz Kanata had something to do with that. This does take place a couple years after the events of The Last Jedi, whereas The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens were mere days apart. This is a couple years down the road. So this is, giving her time to train and her time to learn more. And this opening monologue here, or little statement by Luke Skywalker, says, "You have thousands of generations of knowledge flowing through you now. Like, you are the one." She ultimately is now the last Jedi. And he, being Kylo, is ultimately the last Sith that we know of right now, with the exception of the fact that there are more Force-sensitive people out there, which that was one of the big things with Episode 8 that I didn't care for. It's like, it was like Rian Johnson was like Oprah in Episode 8. Like, you're Force-sensitive, you're Force-sensitive, you're Force-sensitive, everyone is Force-sensitive. And it was like, no, this should be like Star Wars Galaxies, where it's, you go in there and it's a randomly generated number. That person is the ability to become a Jedi. If everyone's a Jedi, then no one's a Jedi, sort of thing. But what I love here is the next shot, which just it pulls focus from this to that, showing us what's coming. I thought that was beautifully done. Again, showing us the world, seeing the barren nature of the planet, whether it's Jakku or Tatooine, I have no idea, but I just love the way it looks. But this is here, this one right here. Every generation has a legend, and this is what's tying into the title of the movie, I think. So we know that Skywalker's legend was set at the end of The Last Jedi. There were the kids that were recreating, the slave children that Rian Johnson so carefully left, or carelessly left, to be slave children, but they released the pets. Okay, that was good. But they were talking about the Battle of Crate, that apparently people were talking about that, and the legend of Skywalker was born. Even though ultimately it kind of felt a little bit weird, considering that it was a small group of resistance fighters that were on Crate. And there were some First Order people, and the First Order people probably weren't going to talk about it. So the fact that it spread as far as it did, as quickly as it did, considering that those slave children didn't age at all, is one of those weird things. But I think that the Skywalker is going to take over the name of Jedi. I think that what it is it's going to become the Skywalkers are now going to be known as the protectors of the universe. That they're going to be the legends. And it's going to start with Luke Skywalker, and maybe even Anakin as the progenitor. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's going to be it. I think the legend's going to tie into the Skywalker. So when it's the rise of Skywalker, that's going to be the new legend. That's going to be their new name, because Luke said in The Last Jedi, it's time for the Jedi to end. So that could also be the naming, because the Jedi in Luke's eyes has gone far away from the Force. It's no longer there to serve and protect. And maybe this is now what Rey is going to be doing, because she's going to pick up where Luke feels he failed by when he tried to, well, he says he didn't try to kill Kylo, that he just raised up his saber in defense because he sensed the darkness in him. And that was how he portrayed it. But Kylo looked at it like Luke was trying to kill him. And to the rest of us, it looked like Luke was trying to kill him, because it was a poorly put together scene. And I blame Rian Johnson for that entirely. So there's that aspect of it. But I do ultimately feel here that Skywalker is going to be the name of the legacy going forward, that we are the Skywalkers. We are the ones that protect from people like the First Order. We're the ones that will protect the galaxy, and they seek out other Force sensitive people, but now under a new moniker. And that could be it, which it could either be well received or not well received. It all depends on how the script is. But that's my take on it. We got this establishing shot here again. Just, I like the terrain. I just like the way it looks. This whole scene makes it look very Western-esque, right? It does feel like a Western, from what we've been seeing just with this opening shot. And I just like it. Also, you get the striker coming on there, or whatever it is, very quickly. But again, going back here, she activates the lightsaber. Just a nice, clean blue glow is great. I really, really like that. And here she activates the lightsaber, which I really like. And I feel that it's a nice, good, clean look. It's a little cleaner than Luke's lightsaber from A New Hope, but it's the same color. It's just got a little bit less of the glow, but it feels imposing by just looking at it. I can't wait to see her wield this thing in a way that's going to be a little bit better maybe than the throne room scene from The Last Jedi. But this look here, as she turns away from the incoming TIE ship, as she turns away, she's anticipating to make the run, lightsaber in hand. And here we get just a shot of the gloves. Just a shot of the gloves here. Now, my first take on this was that it was Kylo. My first take on this is that it was Kylo Ren coming to stop her, that this was going to be the final fight between them. Now I'm not so sure. It could be Kylo. The likelihood of it being Kylo is very high, but at the same time, it could also possibly be Hux. And the reason why I say Hux is because it feels like Hux was emasculated at the end of The Last Jedi. He thought he was going to take over the First Order, but here comes Kylo and basically goes, right? So Hux is going to be vindictive. Hux is going to want to take command. He believes it's owed to him. He feels entitled to it because he was Snoke's number 2, and he might be coming to kill Rey to then assume command. If he can kill Rey, then that proves that he is the one who should lead the First Order. That's my take on it, but it could be either or. But all we saw here were just the hands in what appeared to be the TIE silencer or TIE strike. I'm not too sure the name of the ship, to be honest with you. But again, we just get this wide shot, and you can see that it's very much a wide shot. Her running, this thing coming up on it super quick. Then she just does this leap, which is awesome. This leap is great. But look at the ship itself. This is a clear frame grab of the ship. It is a new looking TIE fighter. It's red and it's black, and it looks like it could be, maybe it's a Praetorian Guard ship. Maybe it's one of those. But I'm not too sure. It's just a TIE silencer or TIE striker. We'll have to see. But just look at her jump up, and she's going to just disable the ship. She's not going to take it out. She's going to disable it. And a lot of people out there have been like, "Oh, this is just another Mary Sue. It's Rey Sue. She's being a Rey Sue." But think about it like this: this is years after the events of The Last Jedi. She's read the books. We clearly hear Luke Skywalker telling her that thousands of generations of knowledge now flowing through her. She now is like the last Jedi, essentially, and so she's going to be able to be training. We maybe won't be seeing it, but it's definitely going to have happened. It's kind of like Luke at the end of at the end of the Empire Strikes Back, to where Luke was at the beginning of Return of the Jedi. It was a totally different person. Luke had been working on training during that time period in between the two events while they were trying to track down Han Solo. You know, Luke was a totally different person from the end of that to the beginning of the third film. So people can change. We may not always be able to see it, but I can understand the complaints that people had in The Last Jedi about Rey getting like the 1 day of training with Luke and then being able to take on the Praetorian Guard. That I get. But I would quickly like to remind you guys, and this is not a full explanation, but kind of how I view it, Rey grew up by herself on Jakku. She learned how to fight. She learned how to survive. So I think that she might have been able to do it there, but really, all things considered, Kylo did most of the killing in that scene anyway. I just still really, really, really love this shot, and I love the look of that TIE fighter. We have this establishing shot of some planet. I don't know what it is. We don't know yet, but it's followed up by them flying to this particular establishment, this outpost somewhere. Don't know what that is just yet. This could be, because it looks like a desolate planet, this could be where the Resistance is holding up. Because at this point, the Resistance is scattered. It's been a couple years. No one was coming to help them at the end of The Last Jedi. So they don't have a lot of allies left, at least publicly. And the First Order probably is going to be taking over quite a bit. And this could be the last refuge of where this thing is. So what we have here is Kylo taking on someone with a blade in a forest, which I like the shot quite a bit. Sorry for the poor quality of the screen grab, YouTube. We got another shot here of Kylo killing that same guy. Stuff is on fire, and a First Order trooper is firing off in the background. I don't know exactly. I don't know what planet this is. My first thought was like Nibiru from Into Darkness. Right? That's kind of what my first thought was, because that was the opening planet that they went to in Star Trek Into Darkness, and JJ likes to kind of like juxtapose colors, black and blue and black at the end of The Force Awakens, really with the snowstorm and the planet on the Starkiller base. And then this one here, who knows? We have a shot of him here fixing his helmet, which I like that, because this is basically an FU to Rian Johnson. Right, Rian Johnson like really borked it up, and again, even at today's panel, all they said about Rian Johnson was like, "Oh, you know, they referenced The Last Jedi once," and JJ said that the best thing that he did was casting Kelly Marie Tran, who, by the way, does not have a scene at all in this trailer. We have this shot here of Finn and Poe. Clearly, this is going to take place in the same planet where the opening shot of Rey with that TIE fighter is. Again, we don't know much, but Finn looks a little bit older. His hair's a little bit longer, and Poe looks a bit more like Nathan Drake from Uncharted 3. This is a great shot right here. I love me some BB-8 and the new droid Dio, which it does, because of the cone nose, makes it feel like they are kind of pulling a bit from the old droid army is kind of it. But even one of the shots they showed at Celebration this morning was kind of modeling it after a duck. So I don't quite know its purpose, what it's supposed to be, but I just like this shot because I love me some BB-8. I really do. And I really hope Bill Hader is back voicing BB-8. If you didn't know that, Bill Hader actually voiced BB-8 in The Force Awakens, and I'm hoping he's back for this one, although I haven't heard confirmation of that at all yet. We got this quick shot here of Chewie and Lando in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. Lando once again returning to his ship, and then this shot here of him like, ha 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 ha, man, that brought a smile to my face. Billy D, and he's got his yellow, he's got the yellow vest on, and he's got the cape, and it's so Lando. It's so Lando. And obviously the yellow is more reference to Solo versus what he looked like in Empire or in Jedi, but still, man, Billy D, he's got that look on his face. You know, he's so happy to be back behind the cockpit or in that pilot seat of the Millennium Falcon. This looks dope as shit. And they're going into warp, so that's going to be awesome here. We got this quick shot again of the same. I'm getting kind of teary-eyed. I freaking love this shit. Of this battle taking place again on that planet, whether it's Jakku or Tatooine, we don't quite know yet, but obviously we see the lead ship there as Poe, Finn, and C-3PO, followed by what appears to be sand bikes, right? Like speeder bikes, sand speeder bikes. I don't know, but you can see them. I can't get a good shot of those guys. This again is like the only good frame I could grab at this one, but it looks like a sand skiff. It looks like a sand skiff that was by Jabba's palace, well, from Return of the Jedi, which is one of the reasons why I think that they're on Tatooine. And C-3PO holding on for dear life, Finn holding on for dear life, and Poe's like, I got this. Because during the panel today, when I asked the question to Oscar Isaac, who was a better pilot, Han Solo or Poe, he's like, I'm like an Uber driver. I can drive anything. And then you see him here piloting this thing, and obviously it's going to be a pretty exhilarating car chase sequence through sand. Obviously more exhilarating than the slowest car chase in the galaxy in The Last Jedi. Yeah, I'm not letting that go. I thought it was terrible. This looks like it's Leia, or the actress who will be taking on Leia's hands, because that's actually a thing here, holding, I'm not too sure what that medallion, oh no, that's the medallion that they gave at the end of New Hope. That's gotta be Han's, her thinking about Han. Because again, we never got that finale. We never got that closure. And I think they're gonna give it to us here. I think it's some way or another. I think it's gonna be a memory. We got this shot here of Leia hugging Rey, and this is gonna be a hard one, I think, for a lot of people, because, like, you know, just the fact that Carrie Fisher's not with us, and it's a reminder of that. Like, I'm getting kind of choked up thinking about it, to be honest with you. Just her hugging Rey, and I know people out there are going to bitch about this, like, she only met Rey one time or twice or whatever, you know. But the thing is, this doesn't take place days later. This takes place years later. So in theory, Rey and Leia are going to have time to talk and get to know one another. And JJ admits that he made the mistake at the end of The Force Awakens by having Leia hug Rey. But he admitted that Rey is the main character of The Force Awakens, and that was like Leia hugging the audience, and you know, because of Han's death. So there is that. But then you get this shot here of her hugging her tight. You know, hugging her tight, and I love that. Because you can tell there's like just hugging Leia. Like, we all want to hug Leia, right? And then this shot right here, because she's crying. So I think this is dealing with Han's death. I think this is maybe dealing with Luke's death. This is them processing grief over losing loved ones. And I still think, to an extent, Mark Hamill's gonna have a much larger part in this movie than not. But but again, the emotion there is gonna be, it's what the audience is gonna convey. I think the audience is really gonna feel the emotion on this one. I really do. I really feel that. Then we have this shot here of everyone together, which is great. Because when's the last time they all were together? The answer to that is never. This is the first time we've seen all of them together. And they're on a planet somewhere. There's some seagrass there. And I wonder what it is they're looking at. Oh, right. It's the Death Star. It is the Death Star. It is the Death Star. Which leads me to believe that they are either on one of two planets. They're on one or two planets. They are either on Endor, the moon of Endor, right? They're either on Endor or they're on Yavin 4. Because both Death Stars blew up right next to those planets, right? And the Death Star was rotating around the moon, you know, and then it was all that. But this doesn't look like Endor. This looks more like Yavin. Yavin looks like more of a tropical planet, and this is the ocean. But look how big and massive that is. Like, there's got to be a reason why they're going to be going to this place. But they're all kind of dressed the same as they were on the other thing. So this could be the same planet. This could be Tatooine. I don't think so. It's a desert planet. It could be Jakku, but Jakku's also a desert planet. But at the same time, they're all dressed the same. But I think, because she's got the lightsaber there, she got the lightsaber in the shot too, it's possible that they have to go in there because she needs to finish repairing that lightsaber. And there's only one fuel source for that lightsaber. And that lightsaber fuel source is a kyber crystal. And I don't know where she's going to get a kyber crystal, considering that the whole Rogue One, they took out the whole planet. They took out not the planet, but they took out the town in Rogue One that they were manufacturing kyber crystals at, and everything else. And Starkiller Base was, I think, also using that to like suck up the power of the sun. I'm not too sure. I forget the logistics of Starkiller Base. But the way I look at this here is that they've got to go there to retrieve something. The shell, but based upon the laughter that we get at the end of this with Palpatine, because it's clearly Ian McDiarmid. And at Celebration, right afterward, Ian McDiarmid came out and said, "Roll it again." So Palpatine is making an appearance here, probably as like a Sith ghost. It's not that he lived, but that might also be tying into the Pelagus theory, because a lot of fans have really wanted Pelagus to be a thing. A lot of fans have really, really, really wanted it to be a reality. So I'm thinking to myself here that it's entirely possible that this is Endor. I think this is going to be more about Endor than Yavin 4, based upon Palpatine's laugh. And they might have to go in there trying to get Palpatine's lightsaber in order to then get their hands on the kyber crystal to finish repairing that lightsaber. I don't know, but I feel like Maz Kanata is going to send them on this mission. If I had to guess, that's what Maz Kanata is going to do. And that leads us to the rise of the Skywalker card once again. It's a short trailer. It's only like a minute and a half. I've watched the goddamn thing now about 10 times. I'm going to go watch it a few more times looking for little details in the background. There's one little shot I wasn't able to get a good screen grab of, but it looks like an A-wing gets blown up. And that was pretty cool. I'm waiting for some B-wings to make an appearance. Definitely want some X-wings. I feel like we're going to get a lot of nostalgia on this one. I think we're going to get a lot of fan service on this one. And a lot of people were saying, like, if you look at the comments, I've seen people say, oh, look at the fan service. Look at the fan service. That's all it is. Like, it's just fan service, the movie. Like, you know, if they tell a good story, it can still play on the nostalgia factor. And I think ultimately, after the failure that was The Last Jedi, narratively speaking, and how it fractured the fan base because of the way, some of the liberties it took and the fact that there was no real oversight, I think J.J. Abrams really tried to make it a reality. He really tried to bring this thing home and to nail it home. I think that's what he's doing. And so when I look at this little teaser trailer and I break it down as best as I possibly can, I get more hyped and more excited to see it, because everything about this to me is going to bring about the conclusion of the Skywalker saga, but also open the door to something even better. And I don't know what that is yet, even though they are going to be taking a bit of a break off of the movies after this. We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, I'm hyped. I'm stoked. I can't wait. I do want to hear your thoughts, your opinions. Be sure to let me know down in the comments below. If you guys want to call into the show today, because I'll be doing a podcast that goes up, you can always call me at 818-350-3284. It's 818-350-3284, or email me at 3bucktheater@gmail.com. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out. Also, yeah, may the force be with you and all that good, happy, fun stuff.